I call today's look the hipster librarian.
When you get shushed by a hipster librarian, you can see her ironic finger mustache tattoo.
Today we're gonna play a game because games are super fun, and definitely not because I'm procrastinating writing my Allegiant review. The game is called On My Shelf. It was created by Ian Broom, and I first heard about it from Rincey Reads, I believe. It is super simple to play. You are given 3 different sets of 2 different numbers, and those numbers are the coordinates of a book on your shelves. So if you were given the number, say, 4 or 5, you would go to your 4th shelf down and count 5 books to the left and pull out that book. And it's just a fun way to get a chance to talk about books on your shelves at random that you maybe wouldn't get a chance to talk about otherwise. In the future, I will be asking for suggestions for numbers from you, but for this inaugural edition, I have some numbers from Rincey. So let's get started. The first number is 510. Shelf 5 is part of my kids and young adult section, so the 10th book was The Golden Compass by Phillip Pullman. I was probably about 12 or 13 when I read this, and I remember really liking it, and I read the second one, and I also really liked that. But for some reason, I never read the third one. Like, I don't even have a copy of the third one anywhere. I have this one, and I have the second one. I do not have the last one. I really need to find a copy of the third one, and then, like, reread this whole series again, because that's ridiculous, because I remember it being really good. Next up is 2-1, and that book is The Passage by Justin Cronin. I've actually already talked about this because this was one of the first books I ever reviewed on my channel. Nostalgia. This got a lot of hype when it first came out in 2010, I want to say. I think mostly because it was literary fiction with vampires in it. FYI, literary fiction with vampires in it is code for a book about vampires that you don't have to pretend you're reading ironically if you're a giant snob. A lot of people really liked this, but I mostly just thought it was okay. I liked the world building a lot, and there were a lot of characters that I really enjoyed, but I thought it had some very serious structural problems, and I did think it was a little too long. Like, it's a huge book. It's like several hundred pages. How long is this? It's over 750 pages. And I mean, I'm not necessarily against long books. Like, one of my favorite books ever is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is even longer than this, I think. It felt padded to me. It could have stood some editing. Normally this is the kind of book that I would probably just sell back to the used bookstore, but this was something that my mom bought me off of my Amazon wish list for Christmas, so I somehow ended up with a signed first edition of it. Yep. So I'm gonna hold on to that. And our final number pair is 813. And that book is The Lost Continent by Bill Bryson, which I have also already reviewed. This game is kind of not working out in its stated purpose of talking about books that you haven't gotten a chance to talk about otherwise. This is one of 2 Bill Bryson books that I have read thus far in my life. I'm totally gonna read more because he's awesome. This is all about Bill Bryson road tripping around America, sticking mostly to the back roads and small towns, and it's super good. Bill Bryson, I think, tends to write 2 types of nonfiction. There's the, like, let me teach you about a thing nonfiction, and then there's the travelogue nonfiction. And I tend to prefer the let me teach you a thing of his stuff rather than the travelogues, but I still really like this. It's really good. If you would like to give number suggestions for next time, that would be fab. I technically have 12 bookshelves, but shelf 12 is entirely comprised of magazines, so let's say first number 1 through 11, and then second number 1 through 25. I'm not actually sure how well this game is going to work out in the long term because my shelving system is partially based on whether or not I've read a book, so things tend to move around a lot, but we'll see how this goes. Leave me suggestions, and we'll do this again in the future. Yeah. Okay, that's it for me today, so I will see you soon.